What's going on, everybody? We're back. Episode number 192 of the Club and Sub podcast. This week, we're going to be talking about UFC 306, otherwise known as UFC Noche. From the Spear, little Latin flavor in there for all the Latino followers out there. It's going to be a fun card, headlined by Dvalishvili and Sean O'Malley, and also Valentina, Shevchenko, and Alexa Grasso. I'm excited to break it down. Real quick, let's chat about last week. I had two plays on UFC. They both hit. I had a unit on Yanal Ashmouz, plus 115. That played out kind of how I thought it might if it was a win. I just felt like Ashmouz had better grappling and more of an ability to counter grapple in that fight. My other bet, I had 2.4 units on Gabriel Santos, minus 240. So that was to win a unit. That hit as well. Yeah, I mean, he's a decent fighter, but I mean, Santos is borderline top 15 to 20 right now. And yeah, I mean, it played out that way. I also smashed Bellator, so that was cool. So yeah, it was a nice weekend. Lost my only contenders bet last night, so I'm hoping we get back to pumping this weekend. But I don't have that many bets, Lags, on this card. I don't have that many bets. So
listen, I'm gonna be honest with you though, John. I kind of agree because I mean it is only 10 fight slate, and it's a tricky slate.
It is a tricky slate.
It's going to be a highly watched pay-per-view. Ton of eyes on it.
Yeah. How'd you do last week? You won a bet.
So I actually pretty much broke even. So I lost 0.05 units. So to start off the night, lost Vanessa Demopoulos plus 3.5 minus 105 off a pretty much egregious.
That was horrible.
Glove grab. So yeah, lose that off the bat. And then I had peak nose scorecards, which pushed. And then probably a great bet that I should have played for at least a unit and a half instead of a unit was the Silva Andrade fight to go the distance at minus 145. So
yeah. What I don't understand about the Vanessa thing is they did review it. So it's like,
right.
Are you saying that's legal, what she did? Because
yeah. Like I'm fine if the ref missed it. Like I get it. Like refs miss that kind of stuff all the time. But you review it and then I mean
like maybe their view was the glove grab wasn't deep enough to justify a no contest, but like if that's the case, say it. But it seemed pretty fucking illegal to me. So yeah, and I had no play on it. I was pretty bullish on Amorim in that fight. But I mean that was ridiculous, honestly.
Yeah,
so
huge moment in the fight. Yep.
And all right, guys, real quick before we get into UFC Noche, drop a like, subscribe. We'd appreciate it. We do it week after week after week, and we're going to keep doing it week after week after week. And fightnumbers.com, I say it every single week, but they got John Kelly's DFS projection, some of the best in the business. Bets from Pepe, from Evan, from Ozzy, content from the Giga Chad. They've got the live odds screen giving you updated odds in real time on foreign and domestic books. And John Kelly just added a system. I don't even remember what he called it. I retweeted it last night, but I checked it out.
It's like a betting trend.
Yeah, you can actually like dive into the data a bit and check out some betting trends. I actually spoke with him last night about it. It seems like it's going to get a bit more robust. So it's worth checking out, guys. And honestly, for 30% off your first month subscription there, if you just want to try it out, use the promo code CLUB, CLUB. Now, with that being said, yes, Lags, take it away.
And no, just the last thing I'll add, just like you said with Chad's content, I mean, literally the UFC Noche video is doing pull-ups.
It's who doesn't want to see that?
Exactly.
But let's dive into this. First fight of this card. Raul Rosas Jr., Aoriqileng, gigantic favorite. Raul Rosas Jr. minus 800. The comeback on Aori plus 550. You know what's funny? Before I taped it, my recollection was Aori's jiu-jitsu looked pretty good against both Durden and Johnny Munoz. And so I went to tape Aori, and I'm like, I might bet them. This is kind of crazy. And I went to tape Aori, and literally in the first 2 minutes of the fight, he gets bodied in the clinch and get his back taken. And I was like, yep, I'm done taping it. That's really all I need to see. I don't really want to screw around with this. I'm done taking shots against Raul Rosas unless someone I trust can survive. Yeah, I'm still going to fade him long term, but I don't think this is the spot. I think he should be able to get the back, maybe find a sub, but honestly, I think he should be able to comfortably win a decision. So yeah. I think Rosas here wins this fight pretty easily. What do you think, Legs?
Yeah, I think he could easily, comfortably win a decision, obviously, but I think he does find that early sub. I mean, the UFC knows what they're doing here, starting at the first fight of this card, kick it off with a bang with a pretty easy layup of a matchup for Rosas.
Yeah, I totally agree. Moving on, we got Edgar Chairez taking on Josh Van. Current price, Van is minus 235. The comeback on Chairez is plus 200. What are your thoughts here, Legs?
So outside of like the 2-month turnaround for Van, I kind of like him as a parlay spot because to me, Chairez on the feet, he's got some power, but the volume's not there. The guy's a horrible defensive grappler. I don't really rate his submission game, to be quite frank. So outside of the quick turnaround for Van, I mean, the guy is fairly hittable when he is trying to pursue. Guy's got high pace, high cardio as well. Like, I think down the stretch, Van wins a very comfortable decision, but he is going to be very hittable in that time frame as well. So it's tough.
Yeah, by the way, did you tweet we're live?
Yes, I did.
Okay, sweet. You're on your game today. I am not. I honestly, if it wasn't 6 weeks ago, I'd lay the chalk that he got knocked out pretty viciously. I'd lay the chalk large on Van here. I think Chyra. I mean, look, Chyra isn't like horrible, but he's a bad defensive grappler. Decent choke game. What's going on, Quinn? Quinn in the chat. But like you said, he's low volume. He can be low volume. You know, he's got good calf kicks, but I don't think his boxing.
I think he's got bad gas too.
So I was about to say that. I think his gas is like really bad. Because you can go back to his regional days. Every time this guy gets pushed into the third round, he visibly slows. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. And like Van is a guy who is like, he hasn't fought anybody who's going to push a pace on him like Josh Van is. Like, I honestly think the true price here is probably in the -4 to 500 range. I haven't decided if I'll lay the price with Van. I'm so concerned about that. It's funny because I was thinking about Chyra pre-tape because I was like, oh, yeah, he just came off a big KO. They're going to probably mostly strike. But I think Van should pump pretty easy here. It's just like that was a fucking rough knockout, man. And it was very recent. But that kind of stuff's hit or miss, you know? Like, I feel like you don't really see it have an outsized effect unless the fighter is pretty old. Like we saw Cody Durden come out there last week, bite the mouthpiece and go to war, and he seemed fine.
The other thing that's tough with this spot too, like not the short notice, I should say, well, the short notice nature, that too, because if you didn't know that, he actually took his fight on short notice. Originally, this was supposed to be, let me see this, Borjas taking the spot. So it was a weak notice for him. So
yeah, I just think he cooks him. Like I think without that knockout, it's probably -500. So like the question is it being under or is it being overpriced or underpriced in terms of the line? Like I tend to think it's probably being overpriced. And yeah, you know, Luke just mentioned it in the chat. I mean, he hasn't really taken much back volume or much damage. He's only 23. The kid's obviously going to be a stud. Brick Squad mentioned the Durden fight.
I was gonna say the only pushback I guess I'd have from like a -500 is I don't rate Van's wrestling a ton.
No,
in this spot.
I don't think so.
So I think like -350 maybe is more fair, but again, favorite.
I mean, he could get cracked, but I struggle to see the win condition for Chyra if he doesn't hurt Van first. You know, it's just very, very hard for me to see it. So yeah. Moving on, we got Yasmin Yuriy. She's taking on Ketlin Souza. I think this is a disgusting fight. I do have potentially interest in an under here, though. I don't know if I can interest you or that or not. But yeah, I was chatting with Luke earlier today, our boy Spartan with Reality, who's also in the chat, and he mentioned the fact that Ketlin Souza has been finished in all of her losses. She isn't the most physical ever, but she does have a lot of finishes herself. She's got decent power when she actually lets her hands go. And like Yasmin Yuriy is not going to come out here and grapple fuck her for 3 rounds. You know, they're going to come out here and go to war. I feel like Yasmin is potentially fragile. You know, like we've seen her dropped a few times now. Yeah. And Souza is herself, and it's going to be a high volume war here. I mean, don't get me wrong. As far as the matchup goes, Yuriy is just night and day better. Like, I feel like she should stomp. Yeah. But I am kind of interested in taking a WMMA under here. What are your thoughts?
I don't really hate it because, to me, Souza's very plotty, very slow. I think Yuriy is going to be much faster. I mean, to your point, obviously, again, much better striker here on the feet. So I don't really hate the under. I guess that's really the only thing you can talk about in this fight because I know people might want to lay that -200 on Yuriy decision, which, you know, what could go wrong there?
Tao should offer to cover a 50 unit down, 50 units if they go to 50 unit down. So shots fired. Anyway, we're moving on. We got Manuel Torres taking on Ignacio Bahamondes. This has had a lot of line movement, and it's been all one way. It's all towards Manuel Torres. He's currently -120. The comeback on Bahamondes, +100 lags. What are your thoughts here?
So 2 things. One, if the under 2.5 still stays around -250, I think that is a great parlay spot with Van, like we talked about earlier. I think this fight's going to be chaos from the start. And so secondly here, I know Torres is like the complete like opposite guy you would want to look at in this kind of a spot. I mean, like it's like historically, it's a Bahamondes or kind of past kind of a spot, more experience, this and that. But to me, I think the volatility Torres creates in that first round is going to be too much for Bahamondes. You know, he's very, very hittable, the power Torres has, I should say. I mean, just kind of a brute out there. I mean, nothing looks pretty. I get that, but guy's got big power for sure. I think he probably does hurt or finish him in that first round at a very high clip.
Yeah, I mostly agree with that. Manuel Torres, he's a guy I was trying to fade, and I still kind of am trying to fade, but the reality is something I overpriced for years, and we'll talk about this a bit more in the main event, but I think I underpriced for years was like dynamic knockout punchers. You know, it's just a level of variance that adds a lot to the fight. Yeah, and like, even in a decision, maybe Torres hurts him in round 2, while he's tired. You don't really know. It's the kind of thing that can really equalize a fight. With that said, I do agree with you. I'm almost 100% positive Manuel Torres is bad cardio. Almost 100%.
Oh yeah.
I won't say 100.
I mean, the dude throws 100% in 10 with every strike.
He looked like he was fading out against Camacho hard before we finished him. And that was like 3.5 minutes. So I do think my issue with your point on the under, though, and why I'm not against it, but I'm not really for it either. It's just Bahamondes seems to have he doesn't seem to have killer instinct, Like he's a guy who's very, very happy to sit back and carry. He almost carried Roosevelt Roberts to a decision before he spinning wheel kicked him with 30 seconds left. He did carry Trey Hugden to a decision.
He did.
And John McDessie, who's fucking old. He really, so that's my concern.
I guess my only pushback there, now, don't get me wrong, it is heavy chalk, but my only pushback there would be if Torres is getting extended, I mean, I think this dude is going to be very wary shape. He's going to almost look for a way out, in my opinion.
I'm kind of curious. What is the two? I'm going to pull it up right now because I haven't looked at props yet this week because they haven't been very liquid yet. But yeah, what are we looking at?
I do not know.
Mondays 2 plus 650, 3 plus 800. Oh God, that's not very interesting to me. I mean, yeah, maybe domestics we can get like a 1600 or something on round 3. That would kind of interest me, but I don't really like those. But yeah, I mean, those are my thoughts. Moving on, we've got Irene Aldana, the native Mexican in this fight. She has taken on Norma Big Booty Dumont. Current price, pick 'em. What are your thoughts here, Legs?
I think pick 'em kind of makes sense. I would only really bet Irene, I think, in this spot because I just don't rate Norma's wrestling, to be quite honest. But the problem with betting Irene in this spot is if she does get grounded, it's probably a round. So minimal confidence for me, but it's Irene or pass.
Yeah, honestly, this is one of those that pre-tape I wanted to bet Aldana pretty big, and then I taped it and I was like, I kind of want to bet Norm, and then the line got smashed. I'm like, I don't really know if I want to The thing is, if it's a fight where Norma is not proactive about getting takedowns and just tries to clinch her up and stuff, she's just not a very good standing minute winner. She's got decent speed, decent power, decent defense on the feet. I think she can have some decent success striking with Aldana here. The truth of the matter is, and people are going to hate this, but Irene Aldana is a bot. She's just a very good bot, but she's very, very
one-dimensional, very one-dimensional bot.
Very one-dimensional. She's also, if you have any footwork at all, very, very easy to outmaneuver, very easy to land on. It's not an accident. Every time she's taken a big step up in competition, she's just gotten her ass whooped for the most part. Also not an accident. She was going to split decisions with women like Betch Correia back in the day. And now she's 35 years old. With that said, yeah, Luke just said in the chat, I think it could look like Pennington Aldana, and that's kind of what I think as well. With that said, though, I said all that about Norm. Aldana has fought the class of the division, and Norma Dumont is not Holly Holm. She's not Amanda Nunes, obviously. She's probably not even as good a wrestler as Macy Chiasson. The thing is, though, when I was looking, it's kind of interesting. I remember a couple years ago, people were like, Irene Aldana's got great takedown defense. And I was kind of new to it all back then. I didn't really do a deep dive on it. I did. Basically, every decent grappler who's wanted to put her on the mat has. And that's kind of why I'm I kind of think Dumont can. Dumont's pretty heavy on top. If you told me someone in retrospect looked like a large favorite here, I think it's much more likely to be Dumont. But with that said, I also think Aldana is much more likely of the two to finish the fight. So I'm kind of okay to pass a pick. I might poke Norm small if it got back to dog, but I don't really have any interest at this price. Moving on. We have Luis or Ronaldo. I don't know what he's going by these days. Lazy Boy Rodriguez, the Mexican in this matchup. He is taken on Ode Osborne. I have a bet on Ode Osborne here. 2 units on him at like plus 140. I originally had 4 units on him, and I just de-risked it to 2 just because Ode can do like I had it on him because I was pretty confident in the read, and I am pretty confident in the read, but like you don't want to trust Ode Osborne to not do Ode Osborne things, you know?
And that's what I'll start with before you start talking here a little bit. I don't disagree with what you're about to say, because I know we talked a little bit about this before the pod, but I totally understand the de-risking. I think I totally agree with you there. Yes. Incoming Campfire Jones. Hold on. I was gonna say, you want me to go first there because you're gonna
go first.
Campfire.
We'll talk about it. We'll throw a...
So I completely lean with you as well on the Ode side, because I think a lot of people just think Lazy Boy can push a pace here. Like that's kind of the big thing here. Like Ode has bad gas. He's a little bit of a flake. I don't think Lazy Boy pushes a pace at all. The guy's pretty low volume. He's very plotty. He's very easy to hit. I think Ode on the feet is going to be much faster. I think he's much longer. He has a huge reach advantage here. I think he could land takedowns here as well. I think the really big risk here is Ode being a little bit of a flake, having bad fight IQ, and his cardio. To me, ultimately, I think it's a close fight.
Let's gather around the campfire.
So John, go ahead.
Luis Rodriguez. Well, first of all, we'll talk about Ode Osborne being a flake. First of all, Ode Osborne in the UFC. He's been subbed in his last 2 fights, lost pretty dominantly both of them. Jafel Filo almost subbed Muhammad Mokaev though and gave him a pretty competitive fight before he left the UFC. Asu Amabayev looks like one of the best prospects and one of the best grapplers in the division at the moment. Don't really blame him for that. Can't really say he flaked out there. Dug deep and beat Charles Johnson by split decision. Charles Johnson, better than Luis Rodriguez by a lot.
That was a horrible decision.
It wasn't great. Got knocked out by Tyson Nam, though, and Nam is very fast and a huge hitter.
That was hilarious. Yeah, that was hilarious.
Crushed Yaruk Adashev, knocked him out. CJ Vergara beat him by decision. CJ Vergara, he's a pressure zombie who's high output. Won a decision against him unanimously. Manel Kopp, they basically were even on strikes, and he got flying kneed. Dogfather saying Lazy Boy seems like a better version. No, dude, I would take CJ. I think CJ Vergara is a much better version of Lazy Boy, in my opinion. Like that is my personal opinion.
I would take Vergara at pick him.
Easily. I mean, this is my point, though. And then prior to that, he knocked out Jerome Rivera. So it's like, where did he actually flake out and over here? He's been fighting like really good competition. He's got 10 UFC fights. Yeah, like the really good grapplers have absolutely fucked him. And I would expect that to continue throughout his career. It doesn't really seem like he's made many improvements. But like I look at Luis Rodriguez and like he's got okay jiu-jitsu. When he gets on the mat with guys, he does look pretty good down there. But like he doesn't really engage the grappling that often. When he does, he's not a great wrestler. One of these guys was a college wrestler. One of them doesn't. Guess who was a college wrestler? Ode Osborne. I mean, see, he's called Lazy Boy for a reason because he's fucking slow and plodding. Yes. This is a guy who, if we wanted to go back, he fought basically no one in Lux. He was going literally life and death with 38-year-old below 500 fighters and getting hurt by them like 3 fights ago. Then he fights Dennis Bondar in his last fight. Bondar absolutely, if Bondar just decided to keep that on the feet and not bust his energy grappling, he would have he was whooping his ass like easily on the feet. And like Dennis Bondar, nowhere near the striker Ode Osborne is, in my opinion. He's decent boxing, but he's pretty low volume himself. And he outlanded him at distance 2.5 to 1. So I look at this fight and I'm like, Ode is the much more experienced fighter in the UFC. He's fought a much, much higher level of competition. He's 8 inches longer than him. He's faster. He manages distance a lot better. He's much more active with his striking. And it's like, Ode's cardio. But like, is Lazy Boy going to push that on him? Guess who has the better record for their career in decisions? Ode Osborne, 3-1 versus 3-2. Like, if he comes out shooting and gets easy takedowns, he'll probably mug Ode. I don't think he'll shoot that. I would actually project him to shoot under 4 takedowns in this fight. I don't project him to have that much success. I don't think he's anywhere near the level of grappler that Filo or Amabayev are. I don't think he's as good a grappler as Charles Johnson is, man. And Charles Johnson got out-controlled by Ode in that fight. So, I don't know. I look at it. I'm not saying, like, make Ode a huge favorite. He's fragile. He can be hit if you get inside. He's got suspect gas. If you get him on the mat, he's not very good down there. But he's just from a much higher pedigree of his career. He's the better athlete. He's much, much longer. I just feel like, I don't know. I feel like the fade Ode hype has gone too far. Like the dude loses to 2 really good fighters, and now it's like, God, Lazy Boy, got to be the side. I don't think so. I got 2 units Ode Osborne. Hopefully I'm right, because that was a lot of words to be wrong.
It's gonna suck when it's a close decision and you just get robbed for the Mexican fighter.
But okay, one last thing. We were talking about Vergara. I bet Ode minus 160 against Vergara. Now, I don't think that was a great bet by any means, but like he easily won the first 2 rounds. Like if he was minus 160 against Vergara, how is Lazy Boy getting like way more respect than TJ Vergara?
You got to bet him here, John.
Yeah. But see, this is my point. Dogfather talked about the Jafel price being hilarity. It was. But like Lazy Boy's getting priced in the same range that Philo and Dalmabayev were against Osborne. Like that makes 0 sense to me, in my opinion. So we'll see. We'll see. Moving on. We got Daniel Zehuber, Esteban Ribovics. This is a banger on this card. Zehuber minus 220. Comeback Ribovics plus 185. Lags, what are your thoughts here?
John, can I interest you in a sweaty GTD?
That's a sweaty one.
Oh, it is. I played it minus 150 to win a unit. But I think Zehuber, not that it's going to be target practice, but I don't think Ribovics has great striking defense at all. And I think if Zehuber wanted to, he could land takedowns here with ease. I think the price is justified. Not that I'm looking to parlay Zehuber, but I think it should be a pretty good matchup for him.
Yeah, I was honestly looking to bet Ribovics pretty big going into tape. Like the price just seemed crazy to me because like Ribovics seems fairly durable and high work rate. So it's like, how could Zehuber, and he's got great cardio. So it's like, how could this price be right? But then I look at it and it's just like, man, Ribovics has shown absolutely no semblance of defense in his career. Dude got hurt bad on the feet by Loic. Like Zehuber, I don't want to say Zehuber is a fade by any means. I don't think he is. I think he's reasonably talented. He's very young, but I think he's very raw. And I think guys who can, something I noticed in the Jagos fight is that if you can like set up your blitzes and you put like 2, 3, 4 shots in front of each other, like you're going to find him and you're going to hit him pretty hard. And I think Ribovics can do that. Probably all fight. My issue is the amount of range he has to close here and how open defensively he is. He is going to get sniped a lot in this fight. And I think of the two, I think Zehuber. I'm curious, who do you think is more durable? I think Zehuber is personally.
Yeah.
I mean,
sure.
he looks like,
and I think he's got better defense of the two too.
Yeah, much better defense. Although I think he has a similar problem. If you get inside on Zehuber, you can crack him, but he's hard to get inside on.
And I forgot to mention it in that fight, but similar to Zehuber, like I think Zehuber and Bahamondes are very similar in that aspect. They have super long frames. They're very dangerous with their long limbs, but when you get inside, very easy to hit.
Yeah. Now I will say though, of the two, Zehuber does a lot of nifty stuff to keep you out, because if you blitz him recklessly like Ribovics tends to do, you're gonna find a knee or an elbow coming up the middle at you like most of the time. Like you're not getting a free, and that's kind of my issue and why I didn't bet Ribovics, because you're not getting a free entry into the pocket against Zehuber unless you feint out his attacks up the middle. And Ribovics, that's not his game. Isn't really setting up his shots. It's kind of cut you off and blitz you, but every guy that's let their hands go on him has landed at will. So yeah, I think Zehuber, he's just got the better frame, bit younger, a lot longer, more durable. I think hits harder. I think the line on Zehuber is fine, personally. Moving on. We have another rebooking here, though, at Lags. And one you had a bet on last time. We got Brian, and so did I, actually. We have Brian Ortega taking on Diego Lopes. Current price, Lopes minus 180. Comeback on Ortega is plus 155. Will you be doubling down on Diego Lopes here?
So first, before we even start about this fight, because I was going to look at this price first and ask you about this, because based on our breakdowns of the fight. So what do you think of the minus 3.5 for Zehuber at Pick'em?
I feel like round one could be tricky there, but I mean, considering it builds in his finish, I don't mind it.
Right.
So,
in regards to this fight, a little bit of a cop-out, but I will definitely not be betting Lopes, because I bet Lopes at minus 135. I mean, he's minus 180 now, but my breakdown, to be honest, doesn't really change. I think in my opinion, Lopes is the more powerful fighter on the feet. I think he's more durable on the feet. I think he's a better BJJ. I like Lopes to get an early finish.
I mean, I obviously had a bet on Ortega the last time.
I know, and you're going to double down.
No, not as of now anyway.
No.
I kind of want to see, like, so I'm a bit spooked by what happened with the last fight. Ortega.
Well, ain't even
not
too.
not just making the catch weight, but then pulling out from being sick. It's like the guy's had 2 title shots. How seriously is he taking everything at this point? Like, I'm a bit nervous about that because that's kind of crazy.
I mean, he just said in an interview that he's 1,000% trying to move up to 155.
And then why is he coming and fighting at 145 again? That's what I don't really understand, man. Yeah. And Ortega, even at the absolute apex of his career, was never the best minute winner. Nothing really about the fight with Ige really changed my view on Lopes at all. If anything, it reinforced my view that he's got probably pretty suspect cardio if you can push him. But I was actually impressed that he fought to a pretty intelligent game plan there. Did a lot of stayed long. He knew Ige was on, the shortest of notice, and he kind of just did what he needed to do to win the fight. And I kind of think he could maybe do that here because Ortega is kind of a guy that's pretty easy to outmaneuver. That hasn't really historically been Lopez's MO, though. If they come out bombing, obviously Lopes could knock him out, but I think Ortega could knock him out as well. I think Ortega is the more likely of the two to get on top, personally. I mean, although at this point, I would say he has fought better competition, but Lopes, he's working his way up the ladder, man. I think Lopez's trajectory is a lot higher than Ortega's. I'm very, very nervous about, where Ortega is at in his career at this point, especially in light of what happened last fight. Look, if he makes weight and this price is still there, and looks good making weight and doesn't look like death on the scales, maybe I'll toss a unit on him, but I feel a lot less passionate after what happened last time than I did. I'm trying to avoid these kind of red flag spots, and Ortega seems to be littered with red flags
and on top of it too, the changing of the guard, like we talked about last week.
Yeah, with exactly.
Burns. Yeah. Hey, but John, shot bet
on what?
This fight, Lopes Ortega. I'll do 2-1.
All right,
I don't care.
Fine. We'll do that. That's fine. Moving on. We have the third fight of the trilogy, Alexa Grasso, Valentina Shevchenko. For the first time in the trilogy, Alexa Grasso is the favorite. -140, comeback Shevchenko, +120. I am probably not going to bet it, even though I bet Shevchenko last fight. I still think most of my views on that fight kind of hold true. Like, we've seen this fight play out for 50 minutes now, or like 40 minutes or whatever. And Shevchenko's dominated minutes for most of that 40 minutes. She outlanded her badly at distance in the first fight, outlanded her badly at distance in the second fight. Obviously, the first fight kind of slipped on a banana peel, got her back taken and subbed. Last fight got dropped in round 2. Round 3 was whooping her ass, Alexa's ass. Or round 5 was whooping Alexa's ass and gave up a back take with a minute left. And somehow a rogue judge gave a 10-8 to Alexa Grasso there. Good times. And so, like, I'm not going to go too deep in this because you guys have heard us break this down before. But, like, in looking at it, my view is there's a couple things here. I think Shevchenko's obviously the better fighter. Like, technically, she's the better striker. Clearly, like, she is very, very clearly. She's very, very clearly outboxed Shevchenko for now. I don't know, the better part of 40 minutes in the cage. She's outstruck her, outkicked her, outgrappled her. She landed multiple takedowns in each fight. But Grasso has also shown an ability to convert big moments. And so I think the big question of this fight is, one, Luke says getting Usman Edwards vibes, but like, I heard that shit in the last fight, like that's what people were saying in the last fight, like Clint was telling me, first time they barely win, second time they dominate. And it was far from domination, So I don't really agree with that. But with respect to this fight, it's like, how likely is Alexa to have moments? And something I thought was interesting was going back through the rest of her career. Like, how many moments has she had in the UFC?
Yeah.
Almost none.
Like off memory, I couldn't tell you.
That's what I'm saying. She's not someone and she's had 3 huge moments now in 2 fights. So the question is, how random are they and how likely are they to happen again? I kind of lean to them being somewhat random. But with that said, the knockdown was a bit concerning. And the other thing here is obviously age. Shevchenko is 36. I did think she looked physically slower and there was less snap on her shots last fight than we'd seen in the past. Now she hasn't fought in a year and they're running it back here. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of red flags on the Shevchenko side between age and her giving up those moments. I do think, though, if you're going to bet aside, like, how are you betting Alexa Grasso here? We've seen 40 minutes of them fighting, and like it's just crazy to me. Yeah. What do you think?
So again, I was actually looking to see. I'm like, I can't even remember. Like, what did I bet in the first? Did I bet anything in the first fight? Did I bet anything in the second fight? So nothing in the first fight, but the second fight, I played Shevchenko for a unit and a half. But again, I mean, kind of similar to you, I'm just kind of spooked, really. I mean, not to Luke's point of like the whole Leon Usman, but I don't. Of those three moments that you speak of in specific, obviously the knockdown is concerning. The spinning kick, though, that she ends up getting her back taken in the first fight, to me that is concerning, because to me that seemed just kind of a low fight IQ. Like there's no need.
Yeah, but it's not like
anything
Shevchenko's
crazy.
known as like an elite back taker prior to that fight.
Grasso, fair, but did you mean
Grasso?
Grasso?
Yeah, that's what I mean, though. It's not like Grasso was
Yeah.
known as like a jiu-jitsu specialist, you know?
I just feel like on the feet, though, while Shevchenko is the better striker, I think Grasso has the bigger upside for moments. Do you disagree there?
I agree with that completely. I agree with that.
So that's where, to me, it's a pass. I think Shevchenko can land takedowns and hold her down, but I think it's going to be sweaty in that regard as well. So I think in both realms, it's going to be fairly sweaty.
It's funny because like I was thinking, the clear path was grappling, but after retaping, and I don't think striking is a much cleaner path. She didn't have an easy time holding her down in the second fight, to be honest.
No, she's wasting a ton of energy doing so.
Yeah, I actually think that there is a lot more. That if she just stayed striking and stayed at distance, that's her best path. Because I don't really think Alexa can take her down herself, really. And I think and at this point also, I think something to keep in mind is like Valentina has now seen Grasso for 40 minutes. Like she doesn't really have to make reads. She knows what's coming at her. The first fight she took around to kind of build into the fight. She took like 2 rounds last fight. So yeah, I don't know. I'm going to pass 2 though, I think. Unless if it pulls out to like plus 150, I'll poke Shevchenko small. But
I will say, even though it is a bit juicy, I am tempted on the GTD as well. I mean, sure, that could be a couple
moments. The GTD, how can you not like Shevchenko here? That's like my point.
I don't know.
It's not automatic, obviously.
I understand, but I think if it goes 25, why couldn't it be close?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a tough one, John. I'll probably end up staying off.
Yeah, I'm with you. Moving on, though. Main event. Sean O'Malley. The Sugar Show is back, taking on Merab, the Machine, Dvalishvili. 2 of my boys and 2 of your boys. We got Sean O'Malley minus 131. The comeback on Merab plus 111. What are your thoughts here? Is Merab going to spring the upset?
Well, I'll say this. Sean is not so much my boy. I don't know if I've bet on him.
Oh, you got a Sugar Sean t-shirt.
Okay. All right. Fair enough there. I mean, it's a cool shirt. It's a cool shirt with some smoke on it. All right. Fair. But Merab, at least I bet him against Moraes, KO decision. And I also had Marlon round 1. I bet him against Aldo. I bet him multiple times. There was another instance as well.
Yeah.
To me, this is Merab or pass, because it's not that I'm going to say that Sean is KO or bust, because he's not. I think he can land the big moments and end up winning a decision. But to me, only one of these 2 is likely to look like a big favorite. I think Merab can end up, landing takedowns, wearing on Sean. But I think it's going to be super sweaty in those early moments, because Merab is fairly hittable. Sean is very accurate on the feet. I think Sean can hurt him. And I'm just not, well, obviously he can hurt him for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
But I don't know. I'm not looking to play Merab, to be honest with you. I think it's just going to be a super sweaty fight for him to try to close that distance.
My initial read of the fight. So like I put out a tweet too, being like, I don't really see an angle here. I don't think I'm going to bet it. And my initial read of the fight was Sean O'Malley, the speed and power upside here is enough for me to not really be comfortable with, even the Merab's like minute winning upside.
That's where I came out of tape.
The more I thought about it, and I went back and rewatched the on fight, and like I think that's true to a degree. Obviously, to your point, O'Malley's got a reasonably strong chance to hurt him here. I think he gets like a big moment or 2 at like a reasonably high clip. Not like 80%, but like I'd say 50% of the time he's probably having at least one moment, in the fight. Whether that's dropping him or in a near finish or just wobbling him a couple times, I don't know, but I think it happens at a reasonable clip. But it's like, I kind of think the damage over control thing is very overstated, for one thing, because Merab has landed over 200 strikes in a fight like 7 times in his career to date. He's not a guy who, if you actually go and look at, his fights that people are having a damage versus control argument, he's usually absolutely smashing people. And he's done that to much better grapplers than Sean O'Malley or much better defensive wrestlers. That's just the flat out truth, people he's absolutely dominated. Now, I think early in this fight, it won't be very easy to control Sean, but I don't know, man. It's kind of weird because, like, rewatching back, first of all, the Aljo fight with O'Malley, he seemed very, very cognizant of the fact that, Aljo, if he got on top of him, was going to be a problem. And he was very, very low volume early in that fight. He lost the first round unanimously in a round that was mostly striking with Aljo. And then he knocked him out in round 2. Now, I mean, everybody was like holding their dicks and like talking about their O'Malley, round or O'Malley plus 200 tickets. But like, I don't even know that we learned enough to really take much out of that fight.
There's nothing that happened there. Like, I think a lot of people just take the Jan fight and the last fight with Aljo and be like, oh, well, if they were good grapplers, they would have taken advantage. Well, Jan landed 6 takedowns, had 5 minutes.
6 for 13. Yeah.
And the Aljo fight, nothing happened. I mean, there were no strikes landed, like you mentioned. Aljo wins the first round. Second round, again, pretty much nothing is happening. And then Aljo goes in for a takedown
and gets knocked out. Yeah. I mean,
Merab is super hittable in his entries to the takedown. So that's why I think those kill shots will be there early. And so I think it's got to be a better live betting spot. Like, I feel like if he does drop what?
Not you. I'm saying to everybody. But Pepe said the reason you open O'Malley a dog is that the early limit bets move the line and they won't take huge liability. That's almost certainly true. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of my point. He seemed very, very aware of the grappling and was not really nearly as high output as he normally is early against Aljo. We saw that similarly in the Munoz fight. He seemed very, very cognizant of Munoz's hardware and was kind of nervous about engaging him early in that fight. And I think he'll be very cognizant of Merab's, grappling threat. Now, I don't think he's going to shy away from it. And I think he'll throw hands with Merab plenty. I just, rewatching the Jan fight, like if you want to get Merab off you in the clinch, you have got to dig double unders hard. And he doesn't. O'Malley doesn't at all. And, he goes for all these kind of switches and sweeps that are just going to leave him wide open to get single legged, like pretty much every time. Like it's hard to understate. It's funny. I've seen people be like, Merab's just a volume wrestler. He's not that good a wrestler. No, he's not great on top, but he's a great wrestler. He is an excellent at securing takedowns. And I'm just like, how often, first of all, if it clears 2 rounds, like what are the odds O'Malley wins the fight? He can. I'm not saying Merab is a lock by any means, like on the back end of the fight or even early in the fight. But like my own personal opinion is that even when they're both fresh, I would favor Merab to win this. I mean, O'Malley has elite balance, got taken down 6 times by Peter Yan. I mean, and it looked pretty bad doing it. Honestly, that's kind of like my take about it. But I mean, look, I don't think Merab's going to control him flat on his back early in this fight. I think he needs O'Malley to get tired for that to happen. But even both fresh, I feel as if, I'd still favor Merab on minutes. Honestly, he's just going to be doing more. Now, if he gets stuck at range, he's not going to win minutes. He's going to get absolutely pieced up here. But it's also not pretend this is like Sean O'Malley against Tomas Almeida either. Merab's outlanded, I think, every opponent in his career at distance. It's not an accident. He managed to completely shut down the best counterpuncher of his generation in Jose Aldo. Washed version of Aldo. But he did the same thing to John Dodson, a guy with elite takedown defense who just couldn't break the grip. And, rewatching Jan, it's not just the takedowns he secured. Jan got the back clinch pretty easily, and O'Malley wasn't really fighting hands. Jan just kind of tried to pivot off for another takedown. I honestly think, I think if Merab gets in that back clinch position, he's going to hold it a bunch. So, yeah, I don't know. I look at this, and I just really struggle. I don't struggle to see O'Malley winning at all. I can picture a finish. I can even picture a moments-based decision. I think he's going to struggle to win minutes, and, when I think about how the fight could play out, it's like, only one guy could look minus 400 here over 25 minutes. One guy could plausibly look minus 400 over 25 minutes, and it's the underdog. I would be, if you tell me O'Malley wins a 5-round decision dominantly, I will be blown away. And I love O'Malley. I've bet him in 4 of his last 5 fights. He's a stud, but it's a tough ask. I tend to think any decision would probably be very, very close that he wins. Whereas, if it turns into, someone just mentioned Bilal in the chat, but if it turns into a repeat of that and Merab just comes out and just pumps him start to finish, is anybody going to be shocked? Like, would that be shocking to you if he comes out and 15 takedowns and dominates?
No, like I said, I think only one of these guys is going to look like a big favorite. Like, Sean could knock him out, but to your point of, is this clears 2 rounds? Like, unless nothing happens in those 2 rounds, I'd be very confident in Merab if the fight goes the distance.
And kind of Luke messaged it here that like he was kind of wary of Munoz's calf kicks, but like Merab throws pretty hard calf kicks too. Don't think it's getting talked about enough. And O'Malley, we've seen him have some fragility issues to the leg. I don't think Merab's going to stop him with calf kicks, but he's basically forced John into southpaw the entire fight via them. So yeah, I mean, I'm not shitting on it. To be clear, like, I'm not shitting on anybody who's taken a betting O'Malley. I completely understand it. He's got more finishing upside. I mean, I like by a fair amount. I'd agree with that. So it's like, I get it. I just kind of think if we're sitting there on Monday and it was like, oh my God, that was a dominant performance in the main event, we're going to be talking about Merab, And with that dynamic, how is he an underdog? It's not as if, like, let's say you give O'Malley a 50% chance to land a knockdown, which is pretty high, right? Can you say he's more than 20% to knock him out then? I don't really think so. What I will tell you on the Sean side that I think is interesting, if domestics open it up enough, I actually like both O'Malley decision and O'Malley submission a lot more than his KO. The KO price is gross and horrible.
Well, yeah.
That's like, there's no point in playing it.
Again, there's no edge there because, again, everybody's thinking similarly there.
And it's plus 1,800 on DraftKings, apparently, the O'Malley submission, which actually, I actually might play that. Because, like, I do think low-key, I mean, O'Malley's got, very, very strong grapple. He's been grappling a lot regionally, and he's got really, really long arms, like he's got long arms. Merab's been guillotined before, and Merab's response to getting wobbled is to shoot. And so if he wobbles him and Merab shoots into something, I wouldn't be shocked either. I think O'Malley sub, I probably will take a piece of that. I also think if you have FanDuel, Merab KO round 4 is like plus 5,000, or round 3 is plus 5,000, round 4 is plus 5,500, and KO round 5 is plus 7,000. Those are crazy numbers. I think the idea, I mean, go rewatch the on fight, go rewatch the Casey Kenny fight when he got tired and the absolute drubbing he took. Like if O'Malley gets tired and is stuck underneath Merab throws howitzers on top. Yeah, I did shout out Durden sub last week on Narcos Faces. Thank you, sir. But I mean, go rewatch that. I mean, do I expect him to finish? No, but I do think, if the fight goes at the pace that I think it will to benefit Merab, I think it's going to be in play. And I think 70-1 on a Merab KO late is pretty good. Glenbot said he got O'Malley decision plus 475. I don't mind that either. Because again, it's like, if there's value on O'Malley, his decision has to have value, right? I kind of think. I just want
to look at something real quick, but no, totally agree there.
What are we looking at?
Well, I was looking at something real quick. I was curious to see what the split decision was. Because like we talked about, I mean, I shouldn't say like we talked about. I think Merab wins a dominant decision if it goes 25. But, I mean, could there be a scenario where Sean squeaks one out on damage? Like, I'd probably rather go the split.
I think so. I definitely think so, to be honest with you. I think that is that's one of those things. And, like, that's one of those things that's been a blind spot for me and why I initially was going to pass this fight is just, like, big power does tend to deter work rate. It does. And so we see this all the time where these guys with huge power, these grapplers are afraid to shoot and whatnot, and then they just get, outpointed or whatever. The thing is, and what kind of changed my mind, it's not just the on-fight for O'Malley. It's like, Merab's fought big hitters. When has he ever not put out a high output before?
He's always reckless.
Like, Peter Yan is a nuclear hitter, and Merab came out there start to finish, not at all afraid to exchange with him, which admittedly could get him killed here. But he broke Peter Yan on pace. Breaking Marlon Moraes isn't that impressive. But, yeah, I mean, he's
many fighters can do that.
But he's broken a lot of guys on pace. I don't know, man. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe it's the Merab fan in me, but I love Sean, too. If Sean won, I wouldn't be upset. I'd be upset about losing my bet. But, like, I don't know.
I can't lie and say Merab as champion wouldn't be boring, but I love Merab.
He's the mush of the week. So maybe he is doomed to fail here.
Yeah.
He is the mush of the week.
So last thing, though, while I was looking it up, though, Sean's split is 11-1.
That's mildly intriguing. I actually am. I am not normally into playing like split decision props, but that actually does kind of tickle my fancy a little bit, especially because, like I said, I just don't. Unless Sean went from being a very negative wrestler to a defensive wrestler to an elite defensive wrestler overnight, I just don't see how if it goes 25, it's not a close fight. What's your thoughts on the total here too? I was thinking of pairing up a little Merab in the under.
Yeah, I don't hate that. I was just gonna say, like, I would only look at the under here, really.
Josh asking why legs look so white today. He got bit by a vampire bat last night. He's in the middle of his change. It's happening.
Light's not that bright on there. I don't know.
No, it does look bright on the screen, though. You do look a lot brighter than normal, yeah.
I don't know. My bad.
You look like the Nosferatu.
Oh, damn. Damn.
But yeah, I don't know, man. I get it. I get what Pepe is saying. And I actually kind of early in the week had the same feeling where I was like, oh, O'Malley's really tall. It might be tough to hit high singles on. It's just like when I rewatched the Jan fight, he just was so easy to get him down, man. I just feel, I don't know. I think Merab's.
That's a tough one. I'm excited for it.
I wouldn't say, I don't think this is like, there's some people are like, Merab should be minus 300. I think that's fucking crazy. I think he should be like minus 125 to minus like 135 in that range. So it's like the plus 115-ish range. I'm kind of happy to like send it there. I do have enough respect for O'Malley as a fighter and his power. Either way, it's honestly one of the reasons I was thinking about passing it is because the truth is I doubt either guy is either side of Pick'em, their true price. So, yeah. But yeah. You have any props you like before we sign off here?
Haven't looked a ton because to be honest with you, after I think most of the main card, even the Ode fight, I don't even think they have anything on DraftKings. DraftKings is kind of slacking a little bit. Can't lie. Yeah. But nothing tickles my fancy this week. I won't lie.
Do you think I wonder because I don't think strike props are out yet, are they?
They're not. I just looked. No.
Do you think O'Malley is more or like do you think O'Malley lands over 100 significant strikes here? If it goes 25? If
it goes 25,
that's kind of an interesting way to think about the fight because if he lands 100, he's probably going to do perhaps enough damage to win this fight, you know?
Yeah.
If he's under like 70, he's probably losing bad, you know? It's really the kind of fight that could be swung by like 25 to 30 strikes, you know, based on, you know, where they are. And that's unless Merab just blows through him. But, you know, what's going on?
What do you think Merab's takedown line is going to be at?
4.5, 3.5, maybe 4.5.
4.5.
I mean, 5 rounds. Maybe even higher, honestly. Like 5. If it's Pick'em for 5 rounds, dude, the motherfucker shot 49 takedowns the last time he fought 5 rounds. Like that's my point, though. Like
that's what I'm saying. I know that's what I'm saying. Do you think it's gonna be like a 6.5 over under for the takedown?
It might be, honestly. It really might be. Like, so like that's kind of the point I was getting at. I should have just started with that. To be honest with you.
It's a great talking point though. Now
it's
a little bit of a short show this week.
But like 49 takedown attempts, man. Like that's fucking. You know what it reminds me of a little bit is RDA, except I think RDA is better takedown defense than O'Malley does. But like RDA Colby Covington back in the day, where it was Pick'em and everybody's like, Colby's a liability standing, you know, RDA, he's gonna hurt him on the feet, yada yada. And then it was just like from the opening bell, Colby with RDA pressed against the fence and just Matt returning him and working in the clinch for 25 minutes. That's basically what happened in the Aldo fight. I could easily imagine that here, you know?
And people were pissed about the Aldo fight too.
Yeah.
Because, he didn't land any takedowns. But Merab's working more.
And Merab, don't forget something worth remembering here. Merab is the Georgian Mexican. He is friends with the Mexicans. They love him in Mexico. It's UFC Noche. All I'm saying, they chose Merab Dvalishvili to headline UFC Noche.
Yeah.
Understand that.
Sean here.
Yeah. I'm obviously kidding. But yeah, guys, I think that'll wrap it for the night. I'm not done taping Bellator. If I do get through it this week, I've been fucking slammed. And my boiler broke, which I have to get replaced.
Damn.
Like $8,000. Fucking nightmare.
Jeez.
It's been a very busy week, unfortunately. So if I do get through it though, I'll run a show Friday morning. If not, I'll just tweet some thoughts out about it like I do with the UFC cards. But yeah, guys, drop a like, subscribe, use the promo code CLUB, fightnumbers.com, 30% off your first month. I think we have a week off next week, if I'm not mistaken.
We will be off next week. And so last closing thing here, I will tweet it out as well too. But since it is UFC Noche,
okay,
we're going to do another giveaway for the Club and Sub podcast. So I will be giving away at least $100. John, if you would like to chip in, go for it yourself.
Yeah, I'll do it. $100 go $100 a pop.
So we'll do a $200 giveaway, and we are going to do at least my thoughts here. You can chime in if you want.
Take it away.
Since we got 10 fights here, we do whoever has the highest 5-leg parlay. We'll do half the fight. You pick five 5 of the 10 fights. Whoever has the best odds that hits 5 legs.
Best odds that hits. Okay.
Best odds
have to like,
legs.
Retweet, and be following the fucking
and send the bet slip to the tweet. We're gonna post a tweet on our Twitter. You're gonna send the bet slip right in there. It doesn't matter the amount.
Really make them share the show, share the episode.
We can do that too.
You should make them do. Yeah.
We could do that. We'll make out a tweet.
The account. Yeah.
We will make out a tweet. But yes, the main thing though, it doesn't matter how much you bet on this slip, but you have to put the bet slip, reply it.
Could be 1 penny.
We don't care.
We don't
care. Do not care. We need the proof. We need the proof.
Yeah. So that'll do it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the show. I do want to say real quick, I feel like I might have not given O'Malley enough credit there. Sean O'Malley is fucking elite. I think he's one of the best 3 bantamweights in the world, to be clear. So, I mean, obviously he can win this fight. But yeah, guys, we'll see you in 2 weeks. I might see you Friday. If not, I'll be back Monday with my Contender show. Take it easy, everybody. Peace.